everybody. This is an exciting evening. I'm just going to wait a few minutes and just see if we've got anyone joining us live. I know there's a lot of people that are still at work and weren't able to pop in, so I'll just give you a moment and see if you can jump on live with me. Hi, Kate. Lovely to see you. Just waiting for a few people to jump on. I know there's a lot of people working. Nicole, Gay, hi. Lovely to see you. Just while we're waiting for a few more to jump on, what I want to say to you is if you've got any questions about what I'm talking about tonight, just pop them down in the comments and I will get back to you. Hi, Shane, get back to you as soon as I can, meaning straight after the class. You'll get your questions answered without any problem at all. Everyone's jumping on now, great. Hey, Tanis, nice to see you. Wow, so I'm so excited about tonight because this is something that I delivered live last year. Hi, Corinne. Delivered live last year, and it just blew me away how much we actually don't know about ourselves in terms of our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors, and our actions, and how that shows up in our world. Not just, hey Sarah, hey Sonia, not just in our external reality, but in our internal body as well. And I know there's some beautiful healers on here as well, so you'll understand where I'm coming from. If you're naturopaths too, great. So basically, let me just tell you a little bit about me if you haven't met me before or you're not new to my work. So my life, right up until I chose to do something different, looked like running a high-profile, how would I explain this, entourage of women in a high-profile sport, the highest profile sport in the country. And it was my job to infiltrate women into a masculine area or a male-dominated area. And that's all I knew. That's all I knew. And I knew one day that this just was not serving me. And so I quit my job. I started asking some really hard questions of the universe. I got married. I've separated 3 times. And in that separation, that is where I've learned the most of this work that I'm going to deliver to you. It's also in the loss of my twins that I was able to really go to the rawest part of who I am, to be able to bring back everyone, hey Rach, to be able to teach everyone how to become their own remedy. So at the moment, I currently run a private practice where we do naturopathic medicine, energetic decoding, and medical intuitive work, okay, by decoding the energetic matrix. So that's me in a very big nutshell. And it doesn't matter how much we read, it doesn't matter how much knowledge we know, if we haven't actually been able to put that into practice or experience that in our own energetic matrix and our own way, it's just knowledge. It's when we take that knowledge and we put it into action through our own experience and through our own filtering system, it becomes wisdom. And it's through that that you get to be able to understand yourself more intimately and share that with the world. So really that's what I want to show you about. Hi, Deborah. I want to show you about tonight. Now, what we're going to do in here is taking something that's huge, taking something that's still very metaphysical, yet breaking it down and making it simple for you to understand so that you can perhaps see, if you've got children, if you're a grandparent, or if you were a child, which all of us were, how our energetic matrix actually plays a part in our ability to become, I guess, a more emotionally connected parent, and then how our ability to understanding our energetic matrix helps us become a more soulfully connected partner, whether it be with our husband, hey Jennifer, with our husband or our wife or our girlfriend or our boyfriend, or even just our really close, intimate circle. So I've got a heap of notes here because I don't want to leave anything out, and it's so important that I give you the basics without overwhelming you. So that's what I'm going to do. So first of all, I want you to do this. I want you to put all of your questions into the comments as we go. And as I said, I will get to them as soon as we've finished. I actually have a seminar to go to straight after this. I'm learning all about gut parasites after this. So as soon as we're finished here, I will get back to your questions. But I want you to do this. I want you to challenge the way that you're thinking. Okay, that's what I'm also going to do for you. I'm going to challenge the way that you're thinking. I want you to put everything aside that you think you know about energetics, about your the things that you can't see. Just put it aside and be open to receiving an opportunity of knowing something about yourself that you don't yet know. And that is where you'll get your greatest insight. All right, so let's have a look at it. What is our energetic matrix? Like, what is it? Okay, so it's an interface between spirit and body. It's an interface, and that interface becomes unique. So why do we have it? It's like a unique blueprint for who we are. It's an ability for us to be able to take what we've learned, what we've understood, what we've inherited, and put it into a framework that actually determines our thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and actions in every single day of our life and every single experience. So if we look at something that somebody has, like an ailment or a condition, or even a repetitive thought that's keeping them in a cycle, this will always come back to your energetic matrix, where might be a block or too much energy coming in, not enough coming out. And so you get this discordance and disharmonization between what should be a beautifully flowing and fluctuating and fluid matrix, right? If you think about it, we are predominantly water. The universe is predominantly water, and therefore everything must flow and move. If you try and hold water still, it freezes and cracks. Okay, so think about that. We must move, we must flow. So how does our energetic matrix become impacted? How does it become disharmonized? Well, the way that it becomes disharmonized is through our DNA. So we inherit certain things so that we have to be able to clear them in this lifetime, to be able to bring ourselves back or be able to move on, however you want to see the world or the afterlife is up to you. But we inherit things to be able to show us something about ourselves. And so that's one way our energetic matrix can be impacted, through our actual physical DNA. The other way it can be impacted, and this is where I see it impacted the greatest, is through childhood perception. So when you're growing up, what you perceive the world to be like, what you're taught the world is to look like, what you're taught, what you see and hear your world around you being like. And this is how your matrix becomes impacted. It also gets greatly impacted by social conditioning. Okay, social conditioning and societal pressures. So we'll get a little bit more into that, and I'll show you how that shows up. And so where does this thing exist? Like, we can't see it. I mean, some of us can, and actually all of us can if we train our eyes to do it. But where does it exist? Well, it exists in every single cell of our body. It's the life force that flows within you. It's also the life force that flows outside of you, that connects you to every single living thing on the planet. So it's an interconnected matrix of energetic resonance. And it's in every single organ, it's in every single cell, it's in every single muscle, bone, ligament, tendon, it's in every single thought, it's in every single behavior. It's in every single emotion, because an emotion is just your energy in motion. Okay? So this is where it exists. So there's no escaping it. It's here 100% for us all the time. All right. Hi, Rima. All right, we're going to get into now. I broke this down into 3 parts for you so that we've got 3 key areas to look at. Now, as I said, please feel free to pop your questions, because I know that as we go along, there will be some. There will also be some light bulb moments for you where you go, oh, wow, yeah, I get that. Or, oh, my child does that. Or, oh, really? So I've got my sore throat, so this is happening. So I want you to feel free to ask me anything. And if you're curious about anything, drop that into the comment box too. So we're going to divide this up into 3 portions. The first area I really want to talk to you about is your gut instinct, right? Your gut instinct. Then I want to talk to you about your love. And then we're going to break it down to the last part, which is your intuition. So how those 3 areas actually are decoded in our energetic matrix and how they show up in our physical body and our emotional body and where they come from. So if I'm to ask you now, tell me whereabouts on your body or in your body do you feel your gut instinct? Just type it in the comment for me. Where do you feel your gut instinct? If I say that word, where do your hands go automatically? Where does your attention go to your body? Just let me know about that. Where does that happen for you? I'll give you a minute. You can just type in. I'm hoping that I can see all the comments as they're coming through. And as you're typing there, what you will probably be feeling in your throat, Jeanette, okay? What you'll probably be feeling is if we say gut instinct, yes, there's no right or wrong, okay? But the majority of us will be feeling this part okay? So Shane, yep, we're looking at our intuition. We'll move up to there in a moment. Sonia, our heart, yes, our love. So our gut instinct is really what it says, okay? So we're talking about our gut instinct. So our gut instinct sits just below our breasts or our ribs, and it's here where we hold our power center. It's here where we hold our sexual and sensual center. It's here when, if we have a knowing, we go, oh, look, I just doesn't feel right, okay? And most of the time when I watch my patients and my clients say this to me, their hand goes straight to their gut, okay? So there's no right or wrong. As I said, it will show up for you in most, it can show up for you in all, yeah, tennis above your belly button, in your stomach, yep. It will show up in different places for different people. But generally what we're looking at here is below the breast, right? Below the ribs. So why do we have a gut instinct? Like, what is it in our energetic matrix? Why is it there? Well, the first thing it's there for is it's to show us that we can feel, all right? So it's designed to show us that we feel it's off, we feel it's not right, we feel that it's wrong, we feel that it's not fair, whatever it might be. It's a feeling. But here's the problem. This is where we fall away, and this is what I want to show you. Most of the time, we are, as humans, and I see this time and time again with adults and more increasingly with children, this is why this is about children too, is we become so disconnected from our feeling self that we don't know how we feel. We're not really sure. You know, we know we're crying, but we're not really sure what that means for us. Or we know that we're feeling very frustrated, but we don't really understand why. So our feeling center is there as part of our gut instinct. But the problem is that we get taught to suppress it. Now, this comes when you are a child and you're around the age of 2 or 3, and we call it the terrible twos, right? Now, just keep in mind, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, that this energetic decoding in this matrix, it really vortexes and spirals itself back into our physical world every 20 years or so. So, you know, at 2, and when you're learning about your feeling center, it'll come back in around 22, and you might have a breakup with your long-term boyfriend. It might come back in at 42, and your marriage might fall down. Okay, so there's a lot of understanding around the cycling. I'm not going to get into that too much. I just want you to understand the key points. So here at the age of 2, it's deemed the terrible twos. Now here the child's doing this. The child is able to now start to feel, right? Because they've moved out of that needing to suckle all the time, needing to be held. They're starting to actually experience the world through their own senses, okay? So the five senses: touch, sight, taste, smell, and sound. And that gives them their right to feel. Okay? Now, when they want to feel their own knowing, for example, I'm not cold, I don't want to put a jumper on, Mum, I'm not cold, and they'll say it in their 2 or 3-year-old way. But as a parent, we love them, of course, and we don't want them to be cold, but we say, you must put a jumper on. It's cold outside. You need to put a jumper on. That 2-year-old child hears, when this is done over and over again, and we do it out of the kindness of our heart as adults, but the child actually starts to suppress their ability to feel because they're always wrong. And their feeling is not heard, their feeling is not validated, and therefore this will show up in the adult as a person who doesn't know their feelings, is sexually repressed or suppressed, or excessive. It'll show up as somebody who is so, and I see this in women time and time again, and I want women to wake up to this. This is where you give away your divine feminine power. And the men that are watching this too, understand this. This happens in you as well, only a little bit further down into your base chakra. You give away your ability to plug in and connect with your power self. When you shut down your feeling center and you suppress your feelings, you shut down your power center. Okay, and so you become this adult that is quite suppressed. So let me just show you a prime example, and I know that all of you will resonate with this clearly. So look at this. You've got a child, and this child is so angry, right? This child is just so angry. They're angry all the time. They may even be violent, and they're frustrated, and they're just so angry. Well, I would say to you as the parent or the caregiver, why are you suppressing your anger? Because whatever we suppress as adults, as parents, is destined to be expressed. Now, for most part, it will be expressed in our children and those closest to us in the younger form that we love the greatest. Why? Because we're destined to love them unconditionally. And therefore, they can show us our greatest stuff, right? So if you're someone who's been taught to just run away and not use your voice and just stay hidden, and it's not okay to show your anger, because if you show your anger, you're not a good person, and you have to make sure that everyone thinks you're okay, and so you suppress this anger, right, as the adult. If you have a child, it will pop up in your child, and it will probably pop up around the age of 8 to 12. Okay, because that's when their throat chakra is developing and they need to have their voice heard. So little things like this along the way are cool tips for you as a parent to be able to help you parent your children. Hi, Sharon. Help you parent your children in a way that serves them and also serves you. So if we take that example of that angry child, the minute you as the parent starts to work out ways to express your anger and own it and invite it up and understand it, guess what happens? Suddenly it's not displayed in your child anymore. Okay? And this is deeper understanding and deeper work, but I just want you to get the basics of what happens here. So your gut instinct is designed to help you to feel. When you are establishing your ability to feel, most of the time that gets shut down through conditioning and ways that you have to be, don't need to be, can't speak, can't talk, all that sort of stuff at the age of 2 to 3. So it gets suppressed. The more it's suppressed, the greater it will express in the adult form when you have your children. Okay? The other way it may show up for you is that on a physical level, okay, it may show up as obesity, right? So I see a lot of weight conditions in my clinic, and the minute we start to get these people to feel themselves, literally feel themselves, not just their emotional self, but their physical body, the weight will start to shift. Okay, so it will show up as obesity. It also will show up as digestive issues. So if you've got any type of bowel condition, have a look at where you're suppressing your feelings. Where are you giving them away? Where are you letting them not become your power? Where are you suppressing them and hiding them? What are they? Have a look at that. Okay? The other thing is it will show up as in women and men too is fertility issues and reproductive issues. Hormonal issues are huge for this one. Now think about this. If you've got a woman who's so, let's say, restricted in her menstrual cycle, so, you know, there's lots of blood or there's lots of pain or there's lots of dysregulation in her cycle, not only is she going to be suppressing her feelings, but she's going to be holding on to so much anger that she hasn't expressed, so much frustration that she doesn't know how to use, so much subordinated power that she doesn't know how to empower herself. So when you start to work on these levels, you will start to heal the physical conditions, because there's absolutely no point on working at the base level, which is the, let's say, the physical level, if you're not addressing the more potent levels of who you are, which is your energetic self. Otherwise, we're just putting band-aids all over you, right? We're just putting band-aids all over you. We need to make sure that all of you is understood. All of you is treated. So it's funny, I just want to share this quick story with you. So when I was working with a mentor many years ago, I was so sexually suppressed. It wasn't funny. It was terrible. And I'm still working on it, right? It's taken me a long time. But I'd had my daughter at that time. She was about, I think she was about 3, so she's 14 now. And my mentor was working with me and he said to me, Cindy, if you are suppressing yourself sexually so much, where in your house are you seeing sexuality? He said this to me. And I thought, what are you talking about? You know, like, I don't quite understand what you're asking me. And he said, well, tell me about your daughter. He said, is she really expressive in her body? And is she wanting to wear makeup? And is she choosing all these little clothes? And he went on and on and on. And I'm like, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And so he then went on to talk about how we as adults start to actually suppress ourselves, and it'll pop up in our children. And from that moment on, I went, oh, whoa, I got to own my own sexuality, because I don't want my daughter to take it on, right? I've got to be able to bring her, meaning me, bring my divine sexuality out into my world so that I own it, and I don't have to give my daughter the responsibility of owning it. And it's the same with every emotion. Okay? So, yeah, Reba, it was wow. And everything is wow here. When you start looking at the energetic matrix and how it interplays with your life, there's that many light bulb moments that it's mind-blowing. So, candida, right? Fungal infection, herpes, viral infections, all of those type of systemic infections that we can carry will have a lot to do with repressed emotions and repressed feelings. Now, let's just take it one step further now and go to our power center. So our power center is also going to be about our gut instinct, right? So as this child, you will be anchoring in your ability to use your power around the age of 3 to 4. All right. Now, at this age, you're starting to have a little bit more perspective of the world, and it'll come back in at 24 when you're starting to get your license. So that's like your not your license, you're driving your friends around, or you're starting to go out and perhaps be quite free-flowing in what you're choosing to, your activities that you're choosing to do. And then again at 45, and this is where we see a lot of people have midlife crisis and fall apart, right? So your power center is your rightful space to express your feeling, yourself. And as a child, when this gets taken away by being told what we have to do, what we have to eat, when we have to go to the toilet, and how we have to go to the toilet, by the way, and what we have to drink, and it goes, I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on. What happens is this child loses their power, and they're constantly feeling like they're wrong. And this is why as adults, we always have to feel like we're right, and we always have to be in control, because we don't actually understand, or we haven't ever been able to understand from a small child, that we're always right. Whenever we come from here, we're always right, but we're always deemed wrong as the child for having our own power, right? Children are to do as they're told, you know, and I know there's a lot of really amazing free parenting parents out there, but I want you to understand the matrix and how this actually can interplay with the physical body and what we can actually do in our own worlds right now to start to shift some of this stuff. So I'm just making sure I don't miss anything here. So what I want to show you just quickly about this power center, this is the biggest one that I tend to work with people, because this is where you integrate, say, spirit, and if you could see from the base, mean matter, so heaven and earth, as above, so below. The power center is where everything gets integrated, okay? And this is just below your breast line, like you're just in your stomach area. And so this whole power center is about you being able to use your own power to validate yourself and approve of yourself. Now, if you can't do that as the child, what happens as the adult is you're constantly seeking outside of yourself for somebody else's approval. You know, you may not be able to make a simple decision without getting 10 other opinions of someone else to validate what you want to actually get an answer for. Okay? So your power center, yeah, Sarah, it will, yeah, good. So, honey, you need to cry a lot more. You need to let out your emotion for your 4-year-old boy, yeah, and help him heal, because you'll be healing yourself. Reach out to me if you need to. So this power center that I'm talking about, right, if we are always told that we have to not have our own opinion, you know, as a child, and that what we think is not right, and we're always being told what to do, as the adult we seek approval. Now this is where it becomes really dangerous for us as humans, and as women and as men, wanting to be authentic. We hear this thing, be authentic, be authentic, be authentic, you know, trust yourself, be authentic. If you haven't got this ability to anchor back into your own power and understand that authenticity is not going to come, okay? So your ability to be able to anchor into your power means that you actually start to approve of yourself first. It may mean that you say no to everyone outside of you, but you must say yes inside first. And you must check in with yourself first, because without doing that, you're going to give away your power. You're going to give someone else rise to their energy and their power. All right? So understand that your gut instinct is very much there, designed to show you how to feel, and what then your power is in that feeling. So always anchor into the feeling of it. Don't pretend it's not there. It's there all the time. And the more we suppress it and pretend it's not there, the quieter it gets. And the quieter it gets, the less we hear it or hear it. So acknowledge it, and it will become big. Okay, oh, my computer's just deciding it wants to do something. Okay, you'll see me good. Just not sure what's happening there. Okay, so let's move on now. The other thing, sorry, I should say to you, is that your power center, when you start to suppress that, this is where our greatest organs sit. You'll see things pop up like fatty liver disease. You'll see things pop up like stomach ulcers, heartburn, reflux, also gastrointestinal pains as well. You'll also see things pop up like metabolic conditions. So, you know, diabetes is one of them as well, because it really takes in the pancreas. So the more we can decode our energetic matrix, the more we're going to be able to heal our physical body. My computer is really playing games. Okay, let's just move on now. And yeah, Sarah, that's a very common theme in most of the adults that I see, is that when we were growing up, we were taught to be seen and not heard. And I'll get into that in a moment, and how that affects the child and affects you. So it's so important when you understand that you start to put the systems in place to make sure that every single child in your world feels heard And for that to happen, the first person you must hear is yourself. But I'll get into that now. So let's look at your love. So do this for me. What I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself, where do you feel your love? Just put in the comments for me, where do you feel your love? Get some water. Where do you feel your love? One minute. Okay. So with that, yeah, in your heart, yeah, Jennifer, good, yeah. Jeanette, sorry, Jeanette. So in your heart, so your love is here, right? Now, when we talk about love, what we're actually talking about is our ability to have boundaries and our ability to give and receive. All right, so let's just break that down. So our boundaries around our love, this is all about our love. Now, if I said to you, who do you love? You could probably rattle off 20, 30, 40 people. You know, your list could be that long. But if I said to you, do you love yourself just as much as you love all those people, then the answer you probably would give me would be no, and you'd give me all the reasons why. Now, it will be in that we need to do our greatest work. So if we have a look at our boundaries, right, this is very much where, like you said before, Sarah, a child is not able to say what they want to say. Okay, so therefore what happens is their boundary around speaking for themselves becomes shut down. And it's there that our children are taught to always say yes. Yes, yes, I'll go and do that. Yes, that's okay, you know, and so they become this little yes machine, and we do that as adults, and what that looks like as the adult is like a person who overgives. We're just overgiving because we always need to say yes, and it's very hard for us to say no. And we overgive and we overgive and we underreceive. And that will show up for us in our physical body as heart palpitations. It will show up as breathing disorders. It will show up as immunity issues, so any type of immune conditions. It will also show up as your ability to actually be in denial, so not really allow yourself to know who you are. So you didn't even know I was lying is how I use the word denial, right? And we don't even know half the time that we're in this space because we're so disconnected from who we are. So when I'm talking about your boundaries, right, around yourself, think about this, okay? If your child is extremely fast-paced, has this strong will, like I have this son, and he's like the Energizer Bunny, and the only time that he stops is literally if I pull those batteries out, and he goes, ugh. That's normally at night when we need to go to bed. But he's so fast-paced, and he's go, 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 and he's so strong-willed, right? And really, what's happening here is for our self-boundaries to be in place, that child is pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing to the energetic nth of what they can do in order for us as the parent to start to put some boundaries in and around ourselves first, and then also the child, okay? So let me just show you, okay, let me just show you this here. So if you have a child, if you are someone who's really kind of slow to get going, and you know you're a little bit lazy and a bit unmotivated, and you just don't want to do this and you don't want to do that, what's going to happen is if you've got a child in your world, they're going to be the opposite. So they're going to be fast-paced, as I said, strong-willed, because they're going to get you going. Now, I must admit, when I'm in the presence of my son, I am very unmotivated because he's so busy. And he's so full on, and I just want to stop and I want to chill out, but I'm being pulled into creating these boundaries, okay? And so as your child is doing this, you're actually becoming more and more boundaryless, okay? More and more boundaryless. So your child is showing up all the places where you need to put your boundaries in. And it might be around getting yourself moving. It might be around making sure that you're not overgiving so that you're not exhausted. It might be that you need to stop and take time out for yourself because you're so used to being the one who has to give all the time, that there's nothing left for you at the end. And I see this with finances and people all the time too. They pay everything out first and then they'll just take whatever's left. What message are you sending the universe? That I'm last, that I'm not worthy enough, that everyone else has to be looked after before I am, and then I will receive. It doesn't work like that. You have to reverse the thinking, and you have to reverse the other way around, and you have to know that to receive deeply, to be able to receive on the greatest of levels, you have to say yes to yourself first. And when you do that, you'll have naturally more to give out and give to others. All right? And it's here where we start to see that wherever we focus our energy, that's where, or wherever we focus our attention, that's where our energy will flow. So if we're constantly focusing on making sure our boundaries around ourselves are nourishing, we're looking after ourselves, we're moving our body, we're allowing ourselves to be loved by speaking kindly to ourselves and that of our children, what will happen is we start to get more energy, like literally more energy, physical energy. We start to get more time. You just have more time to do things, and you start to get more love because you are starting to attract more in, so people can love you at a greater capacity because you're starting to love yourself at a greater capacity. If you're constantly giving out from a tanked energetic container, you can only receive back to the same degree that which you give out from that tiny little space of tanked energy. So fill your container up first so you've got more to give others. And the cool thing about this is you get an opportunity to refill this container every single morning when you wake up. You get to push the restart button and you get to go. Okay? I'm just going to make sure I can see your comments because, yeah, okay, good. All right. So the other thing is that I want to just say to you that in this loving self, so being able to love yourself, you also need to understand your value system. So here's where it becomes key as a parent with your children. If you know your value system of your child, that child will feel heard, they will feel loved, and they will feel safe. Now, they are the three human needs that we desire constantly: to feel loved, heard, and safe. So what do I mean by a value system? Well, you need to understand, what does your child like? So if I'm working with anyone, it doesn't matter who they are, one of the first questions I will ask them is, what are your top 3 values? What do you love to do, right? And if you can communicate that or communicate through those values to the children in your world, suddenly all of their attention lifts and shifts. All of their need to push against that system, push against those boundaries, gets a little bit less because they're starting to feel heard and valued. So for example, my daughter, she's incredible with her art. She loves her art. So if I need to go to the shops for something and she doesn't want to come, I'll say, but that's okay, come and we can go and we can have a look at the paints and the paintbrushes, and maybe you can get a new canvas. And so I'm starting to invoke energy within her. I'm starting to speak in terms of her value system, and all of a sudden she thinks, oh wow, Mum's actually hearing me. Mum knows I love this stuff. Oh, my mum. And then I become more emotionally connected to her because I'm using her value system as a way to show her that I love her, right? And this is very important because we as humans, or we as adults, also need our value system. And when you meet someone and you fall in love, what happens? One of those people will actually subordinate their value system and give rise to the other one by taking on the other person's value system. And within, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 7 years, that relationship falls apart because suddenly there's not 2 individuals anymore having the relationship. There's just one individual giving rise to another one, and that becomes boring very fast and unattractive. So Know your value system. Know your love. Your love is your value system, and your love is where you create your boundaries and you allow yourself to receive to the degree that you give out. It's absolutely crucial, and your children require that as well. So the last thing I just want to chat to you about is your intuition. Now this can get complicated and it can get a little hard, so I'm going to break it down and make it easy for you. Wow, it's really interesting doing this live because I'm doing all this talking, and I'm used to talking to people and having them talk back to me. So this is quite interesting, and oh gosh, I'm just chatting away. So I don't want to take up too much more time of yours. And what I want to say to you is this. Now, if I was to ask you, where do you feel, or where do you know your intuition to exist in your body? Just type down for me where. There's no right or wrong. Just type down for me, where does your intuition exist? Give you a minute there. Sure, you're typing. Computer just is probably about two in your stomach. Yeah, so you've got your gut instinct as your intuition. Yeah, Jeanette. Okay. So for the most part of us, or when I say us, I'm talking about humanity, a lot of us will feel our intuition as more up in the top half of our body. It's like a knowing, it's like an insight, okay? And it's here in our intuition, let's say, in the top part of our body, that we I'm just having so much trouble with this computer. Yeah, you're right, Sonia, in your voice, okay? So in this top part, so your intuition and your head, yes, Shane. So here, what we're looking at is our ability, our intuition shows up to show us that we have an ability to communicate, right? We have an ability to communicate our divine will, our power through sound, to be able to see inside. So when we talk about insight, it's just being able to see inside of ourselves, and then how our insight is used as reflection in our external world. And the other way that it really shows up for us is that our intuition shows us where it's okay to not be right, where it's okay to actually not have the answers, and trust and go with what that trusting is telling you, and not what you think you need to know and what you think you have to do. And it is one of the coolest things that we have in our energetic matrix as a human. And just like your gut instinct, if you start to hear these little messages come up, and you mightn't auditorily hear them, or audibly hear them, sorry, you'll probably feel them more than anything. And it's here that you must listen and then action it. Because you've got about 5 seconds before that intuition turns into logic, rationalization, and you can forget it. So as soon as you get that little message, and it might be something really simple, like I said to the people in my my paid program on a live I did with them the other day, it might be just this really simple intuition, like, Cindy, paint the wall pink, which I just did. I said, oh, I'm going to paint the wall pink, and I did. Not really understanding, but trusting in the bigger picture, right? And if I had started to question myself and go, what do you want to paint the wall pink for? You know, like, oh, who paints the wall pink? And start to justify and rationalize, my intuition gets shut down and suppressed. And it becomes quieter and quieter and quieter until I can't hear it anymore, and then I become disconnected. So intuition is there to show us that we have a voice, to be able to communicate our own divine will, and that we have insight to be able to see inside of ourselves, to then do the things we need to do to shift our external reality. So let me just show you how this plays out really in your child and you too. So I'll give you an example. There's a little boy, okay, and his mum is at home and his dad is at home, but dad's fallen asleep on the couch. And the little boy says to mum, Mum, why did Dad fall asleep on the couch? And, you know, by the time intuition's coming in, we're sort of between the age of about 11 and 13. Well, why did Dad fall asleep on the couch? And mum says, well, that's none of your business. And the little boy says, yeah, but mum, he doesn't normally fall asleep on the couch. Like, why would he fall asleep on the couch tonight? And she said, don't ask me that again. I just told you it's none of your business. Forget it. Don't say any more about it. Now that little boy or young boy, he then has to start to make up his own answers because they're not given. He then has to start to create a story in his own mind of what might be the reason why dad's fallen asleep. Okay, and so he starts to create this story. This then becomes his experience of what happens when someone falls asleep on the couch. This then becomes his experience of when I ask, why is something happening, and I'm told that's not okay, I'm told that it's none of my business. This is where this child, right, starts to shift into the adult form as someone who is a compulsive liar, someone who's manipulative, not through any fault of their own, but because they have to continually make up their own stories, because they're too afraid as the adult to ask for the information because it's never been given to them. So my recommendation to you as a mum and a practitioner is this: if your child has any question at all, at any age, do them the honour and do yourself the honour of gifting them the information that is truth or that is perceived in your world to be true. Because the minute you shut them down, they'll shut themselves down and they'll start to think that what they've got to offer and what they've got to ask is not worthy enough, and they'll shut their voice down. You'll also see this show up in a stutter, okay, in kids that stutter, in kids that have tics. I don't know if you've seen children that have tics where their bodies move and they have movement, involuntary movement. You'll also see this show up in women. Kate, you'll love this. Women with thyroid conditions. There's so many women. Every single woman that I see has a thyroid condition. This sits in your throat, people. You need to be able to express yourself through your sound to be able to heal your body physically. So thyroid conditions, anyone that gets sore throats, tonsillitis, laryngitis, pharyngitis, tennis, you'll like this one too, okay? Whereabouts in your life or in that child's life do they feel like they can't say what they need to say? Or where do they feel like they're not getting the information that they need to be able to feel like they've actually got all the pieces together? And this may take some investigation from your part, but you need to spend the time to do it, because this is how we teach our children to grow into whole individuals that have a more harmonious energetic matrix as the adult, so they're not compounded with physical ailments and conditions. Okay, because the more you shed, the freer you become. The freer you become, the more energy you have. The more energy you have, the more vital and more well you are. The clearer your mind, the more focused you become, and you actually start to get some traction to creating the life you wish to live and releasing these patterns of karmic dogma and cyclic drama, and away we go. So when we're looking at our intuition, really what we're looking at is we need to be able to be gifted from our parents information so that we don't have to make things up. And our intuition is that little voice that speaks to us very quickly, very quietly, normally within our heart, that we need to act on, or it starts to disappear very, very fast. This also will happen in your intuition, where you need to be displaying your creative self. So it might be the child that comes to you and says, hey mum, look at my drawing, look at this, and you look at it and you think, I haven't got time to look at that now, just I'll look at it later. And I've been guilty of this myself in the past. Or it's a child that comes to you and they just want to chat about something that's going on for them, and they're over talking, and it's just, well, I don't want to talk about this now. What happens is that child then starts to shut their voice down, and they start to think that what they've got to say is not worthy. So they start to make up their own story. And then what happens is, as the adult, they have issues with communicating. Okay? And this is where relationships fall apart, mainly in communication. So it's very much, I'll just give you an example to help you in your relationship that you're currently in. If you're in one with your partner, you know, and you may experience this all the time, is one of the partners will come home at the end of the day and they'll say to the other one, oh, how are you? Or how was your day? Like it's a general question. And that person will say, oh, fine, I'm fine. So normally, you know, if the husband was to come home and the woman might say, yeah, I'm fine. Or the woman would come home and the husband would say, how was your day? And the woman would say, I'm fine. Because as women, we want men to know how we're thinking. We want them to understand us without a lot of the time actually communicating it. And so what happens then is that I'm fine. The man would then think, oh my, I mean, clearly you're not fine, but I don't know what's wrong because you haven't told me what's wrong. The man would then feel more incompetent because they just want to fix things. Right? Now, if they can't fix it, then they feel incompetent. The woman can't communicate what's really going on. The man starts to think he can't fix anything and he feels incompetent. The woman thinks she's not loved. What happens is the relationship starts to fall apart. So if you want to start healing your relationship, just something very, very simple that you can do is when one of you come home or you come to meet each other and you ask each other about how you are, speak truthfully. Speak truthfully. And then the other person, you relieve that other person of the responsibility of needing to fix you, because all as you want is just to be heard and to be loved. Got it? Okay. All right. So there's so much in this, but I want you just to take these 3 things home with you. That it's very important that you integrate your gut instinct to be able to feel more, to be able to have more pleasure, right? To be able to be more sensual and stand in your own power, so that when you're in your own power, you release your children from being powerless or needing to stand in their power to serve you, okay? Because you want them to be in their own power, not standing in a power that has to be there to serve someone else. It's always got to be for them, and you relieve them from their suffering. The other thing is that with your love, to be able to create the relationships that you desire, to be able to fall in love with yourself, to have a deep, sensual love for who you are, you have to release that constant need to overgive and please and people please. Because it's only by releasing that you can receive deeply back. So stop overgiving and start receiving. Start saying no. Start saying no outside of yourself to say yes in here. Okay? The other thing is that it's so important that you act on your intuition when you get it, because it's going to be able to shift you from a state of resistance and of being subordinated into a state of always knowing that no matter what, it's okay if you don't have the answers, because you've got the internal trust. You've got the internal knowing of the bigger picture, okay? And you're acting on it. You mightn't know the reasons why, but you're listening. And by listening, you're evolving. So just before I leave, and please feel free, as I said, to put any questions in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just let you know that you've all got a right to be loved, right? You've got a right to be loved. You've got a right to be heard. You've got a right to feel. You've also got a right to learn and evolve, just as every single child on this planet. So if we can start to heal ourselves, become our own remedy, start to make sure that we're decoding our own matrix, healing our physical bodies, and then passing on that information and knowledge to our children, we're going to end up shifting the course of our realities. And that's what it's all about, paving the way so that we're relieving the suffering of all those in front of us and relieving the suffering from all those that were before us. And most importantly, everyone, relieving the suffering for yourself right now. So on that, I'm going to invite all of you to a 21-day journey with me. We're going to start on the 1st of November and we're going to finish on the 21st of November. So it's 21 days. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break you down into 7 pieces. And in that time, we're going to decode you in those 7 pieces and put you back together so that you can actually start to shift from having that blindfold on and being so disconnected and asleep to moving into being profoundly awake and plugged in. Now, when you're plugged in, you're plugged into your relationships, you're plugged into your finances, you're plugged into your business, you're plugged into your health, you're plugged into your family. And here is where it starts to get powerful. So I'm going to break you down over this 21 days. We're going to do 7 series of masterclasses live with me, not on this platform. We're going to do it on Zoom. So it's going to be interactive. You're also going to get 7 recorded audio meditations for each of those 7 parts. You're also going to get 7 energetic matrix blueprints, which will include all of the conditions, all of the naturopathic medicines, supplements, and foods, as well as essential oils, to be able to help you in that particular area with you and your children that's actually going on for you in that little micro piece that we're going to break down. So there's 7 micro pieces that we're going to do. So all of this, all of this is actually worth over $3,500. But just for now, I'm crazy, I know, and I'm never going to do this again. I'm just going to do it this once. I'm just going to give it to you for $197. So it's $197, and you're going to get me personally in 7 series of masterclasses, breaking you down into 7 pieces to remove the blindfold and that disconnected state that you're in, plug you back in and open your eyes to heal yourself, to become your own remedy, to step into your power and be able to know that you've relieved your suffering going forward for yourself and for all those that are yet to come before you. And the greatest thing is you heal your relationships. As I said, I've separated 3 times and most marriages fall apart going through what we've gone through. But I knew that it was there and it was happening to teach me something so I can serve you greatly, serve you more, especially when it comes to understanding the dynamics of the energy of relationships between yourself and everybody else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link for that 21-day journey with me above this video, and all you need to do is click the link and you'll get the information that you need. You can purchase that, and we're on our way. And you're also going to get a bonus to being able to access me privately for 30 minutes via Messenger if you like Facebook Messenger. So I look forward to sharing this with you, and reach out to me privately on Messenger, on Facebook, if you've got any questions about this next 21-day challenge. Oh, not challenge, I keep calling it a challenge, it's not. But it's here to design, and it's here and designed to show you what you know you don't know about yourself. And it's here where you learn more great information to be able to put with your experience to make it wisdom. And that's key, becoming your own remedy. So I'm going to go now. I hope you've enjoyed what we've done tonight. There was so much information, and feel free to go back and watch it over and over if you need to just go back and see it. But I know that you all are doing such a fantastic job at working on yourself. I know a lot of you really well. Some of you I haven't met yet, and I'm excited to meet you, hopefully. And just understand that a lot of what goes on for you is change. Everything is changeable. Everything is possible. And everything is actually decoded in this energetic matrix. And when we start to see that and remove it or harmonize it or rebalance it, our internal physical body shifts. And we heal the sore throats. We heal the sore tummies. We shift the migraines and the headaches. I have this incredible woman working with me at the moment in one of my deep 6-month immersion programs who has suffered from these chronic migraines every year for 20 years of her life, every year. And she hasn't suffered them. this year. She has not suffered them because she's doing the work on understanding herself, removing a lot of those toxic beliefs that sit in her spiritual chakras, plugging her back into her sexual self and her sensual self. And she's actually healing her physical condition. And this is what it's all about. So sending you all so much love. Love you all dearly. And please feel free to reach out with any questions or anything that you've got. And I will see you all really soon. Take care. Bye for now.